Shib-dooby-dooby-dee-doo. Shib-dooby-dooby-dee-doo. Shib-dooby-dooby-dooby-dooby-dooby. Oh, what a lovely day it is. What a lovely day keeping bees. Just gonna go ahead and check out my colony here. See how they're doing. Ah! Oh my gosh. You won't believe it. There's ants and mites and hive beetles and wax moss and all kinds of creatures in here. There's a colony of bugs hanging out with my bugs. I don't know what to do. Somebody please help me. Good morning, beekeepers and bee enthusiasts. How you doing? It's another great day at the farm, and we're hanging out. It's the morning time right now, getting towards mid-August, and we're just cruising through the month. And we thought we'd come at you with another great video to plan for you today. And of course, today we'll be talking about learning to live with extra insects in the hive. So we all know it. Whenever we get into our beehives, we're not just dealing with honeybees, right? We're dealing with all kinds of different bugs. You know, we'll see hive beetles. We'll always see varroa mites. I mean, varroa mites are going to be in there. Might see some wax moss. You know, a lot of people, I know we deal with it, especially when we open up our swarm hives. Then usually on the top of the frames, there could be an ant colony, all kinds of different stuff. And what we want to talk about today is learning not to just panic when you see a bunch of these bugs inside your hive. Because what you have to remember is a colony is like an entire living organism. And that living organism is not just honeybees, okay? It's also all kinds of other bugs. There's also things like spiders and centipedes and all kinds of other stuff. And a lot of these other insects, they have a lot to do with cleaning your hives out. So, you know, if you look at it like, hey, I just got to get in there and if it ain't a honeybee, it's gone. If you look at it that way, then you could actually be harming your honeybee colonies because in a certain way, those other insects actually work with honeybees in maintaining a healthy relationship. So it's going to be a great topic. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about it, and it should be a lot of fun. Without further ado, let's break right into it. So let's talk about what happens in a lot of beekeeping today, and especially what are the pests that people are really disturbed by. Like what are the pests out there that really bothers people inside of beehives? And of course, these pests we're talking about, varroa mites, wax moss, hive beetles, things like that. Those are the kind of pests that are very popular in the beekeeping world, and all kinds of beekeepers out there are doing everything they can to try to eliminate these pests. Now, the primary method they use to try to eliminate these pests is, of course, treatments. And they will go out and buy these treatments from these treatment companies, and they'll buy them every single year, and it's the never-ending cycle. They treat one year, they kill a lot of the pests, but some of the pests survive. The survivors reproduce, and then next year the pests come back just as strong. So you go out, you buy more treatment, you treat the bees again, some pests die, some survive, the survivors reproduce, next year you treat again. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? It is a never-ending cycle for this treating, and no matter what you do or how hard you try, you are never going to fully eliminate those pests. It's never going to happen. They're always going to survive. Those treatment companies that are selling you those treatments for affordable prices are always going to be coming out with new treatments every single year because the old treatments the pests become adapted to. So it is a never-ending cycle of treating, and I tell you what, it just gives me a headache just thinking about it. But if we go back and take a look at how we performed when we started in 2019 and we got into natural beekeeping, we basically said, hey, we tried treatments before, it didn't work, a lot of our bee colonies died, and we didn't care for it. So what if now in natural beekeeping, we go about not treating our bees at all? And that's exactly what we did in 2019. And what would you know, the bees actually did great. You know, they have survived, they've reproduced, you know, we've been catching swarms, and we haven't been disturbing them with medications and treatments every single year, and they've been doing just fine. They've been getting along just fine, and we still are producing more and more colonies every year. And until that changes, we're not going to change anything in what we do. I am not going back to treating my bees every single year in this never-ending cycle. It's just way too much. It's way too much, and there's no evidence out there that proves that treating your bees is going to be healthier than not treating your bees. And if you don't have to do it and your bees still survive, then what makes you think you need to do it in your colony? You should consider going about it and saying, hey, you know, maybe some of these pests, they're just supposed to coexist with my bees. And maybe that's just the way life works sometimes. So if you can take a good look at it and basically say, hey, I'm going to give the treatments a break and just learn to live with a few of these pests, it'll be a lot easier for you. So we talked about the big pests inside of a colony that really gets on people's nerves, and we talked about stuff that really disturbs people. But what about the other pests, such as like the ants, the spiders, the centipedes, maybe a mouse? You know, what about those pests, and how should we deal with those? Well, when it comes to ants, we generally only see ants whenever we take down a swarm hive, we put it on the ground, and we're about to transfer the swarm hive to a main hive. We'll see a colony of ants on top of the frames. And really, I just take my bee brush and I just sweep them off to get rid of them. I don't really know how much benefits those ants have to the colony, but they're really easy to take care of, and I don't have to use any medications or anything to handle them. So I just take my bee brush and I get rid of the ants. It's as simple as that. You know, other than that, I don't really do too much for ants. You know, I don't stop them from coming up inside the colony or anything. You know, it's totally up to them. And remember, a healthy colony will be able to take care of the ants if they're good to go. So other things like spiders, you know, spiders can actually be pretty beneficial to your beehives. I've seen spiders in videos that actually go after hive beetles, and they go after other little pests and stuff like that. So spiders are good inside of beehives. And if I see a spider, I generally don't mess with them or anything like that. I'll let them stay in there because they tend to work really well with honeybees. And as far as the other things like centipedes, I don't really mess with bugs like that. You know, it's really up to you how you want to handle it, but I don't really let them bother me too much, and they generally do just fine. So, and then things like mice, I wouldn't recommend leaving a mouse inside of your beehive. They can carry a lot of diseases and stuff with them. But generally, if a honeybee colony is strong and the weather is warm, and they're not wet or anything like that, then they will be able to take care of a mouse, no problem. So generally, you're not going to have to worry about a mouse. But you know, if you do get a mouse or whatever, I would recommend probably getting rid of it if you can. So the big thing I want you to take away from this video is learn to let your bees coexist with pests. Okay, a lot of those pests, I know it seems like they're just a total negative effect on your bees, but a lot of them can have benefits that you might not even realize whenever you look at them. And if you don't want to just get in a never-ending cycle of, you know, always being inside your hives and always eliminating every single thing inside that's not a honeybee. You know, when it comes down to it, honeybee colonies are not just honeybees. They are comprised of very many different pests and insects and stuff like that, and they've been like that since the dawn of time. All right, honeybee colonies have always had other pests and stuff on the inside, and they always will have pests and things like that on the inside. There's nothing you can do to change that. You know, those pests are always going to be there, so you need to learn to get used to them and let your bees live with them, and even let your bees be strong enough to take care of them. And a lot of cases, you know, if you got a strong honeybee colony, they will take care of the pests. You don't need to do anything extra to them, and they will be just fine. So that's about it. And, you know, it's just learn to let the pests kind of coexist a little bit, and your life will be a lot easier. So we hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, we'll see you soon.